Well, hello. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit about the fortune is in the follow-up. All right, so let's just chat a little bit about what that means because that is one thing that can really make a huge impact. So I want to ask you a couple questions. Number one, has anybody ever left you a voicemail that you didn't get right away? Has anybody text you that a couple days later you're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot to respond? You're scrolling and all of a sudden you see it. Have you ever read a message anywhere, a text message, a messenger message, anything, and all of a sudden the dog throws up and you're like meaning to answer it, and then your life gets crazy and you forget? Has anybody done that? Okay. So one thing I want you to think about is as you are working and building your business, our businesses are always much more important to us and building our futures than it is to our customers, right? And so when you think about doing that, and maybe you feel like they ghosted you, or you feel like, oh my gosh, they don't want what I have, or oh my gosh, and you start to focus on what you did wrong. I didn't say it right, or I didn't use the right words, or she's gonna think I'm pushy, or all those things. I want you to, first of all, when you go to the I statements, that's about you and not about them. Second thing is, if you did answered yes to any of the questions I asked at the beginning, that means that it happens to other people too, right? Like life happens. People do have good intentions, or maybe they just don't check their messages as often as you do. Like I'm on my phone every day because it's part of my business. It's where I do most of my communication. And so when you think about that, we have to remember that other people have lives too, and sometimes we give them the benefit of the doubt. Now, the other thing, and this is proven statistics, and it's called sales statistics, but I always think it's based on everything, right? Like in how we follow up with people. So I'm going to read this to you because it's pretty powerful. So 48% of people, salespeople, consultants, never follow up with a prospect. Never. 25% um, make a second contact and stop. 12% of salespeople only make three contacts and stop, and only 10% of salespeople make more than three contacts. So, what that tells you right there is that you want to be in the top 10%, right? So, that means making at least three contacts to people. Okay, now let me share this with you. 2% of actual conversion sales bookings are made on the first time you contact somebody. 2%. Okay. So how many of you reached out and done well, she didn't want anything. I'm one and done. No, 2%. 3%, it goes up 1%. 3% of sales are made on the second time you contact somebody. 5% of sales are made on the third contact. 10%, woo, it went up. 10% of sales are made on the fourth contact. 80% of all conversions, so bookings, sales, all the things that you want, are made on the fifth to 12th contact. I want you to take that in for a minute. So, are you willing to reach out that many times, not all in the same day, not at all in the same week, maybe not even all in the same month necessarily, but at least five times to your contacts before they say no or they don't respond? Like if they're not, like there's some response there. So think about that. Five times, right? Five times I'm going to call it conversion. So that's the first thing I want you to know is that it's not unique to you. You're not special that people aren't responding, but it's just facts and stats numbers never lie. So five times minimum that you're reaching out to people. All right. So what does that mean? Well, the different ways that you can reach out to people. First of all, you do want to have different options of modes of communication. So start with what's most comfortable for you. If it's calling and leaving a message or calling and talking on the phone, if it's texting, if it's through Messenger, if it's through whatever it looks like, right? Like those are the main communications. But I would encourage you to also not email. I would also encourage you not to get stuck on one mode only. Like you only like this because you're dealing with people and people may have different modes of operation. And so your mode of operation, you may have a favorite, but other people may have different ones. And what I mean by that is so let's say that I am reaching out through Messenger and I'm working to have a conversation with somebody. I'm offering something. I'm asking them questions. I'm trying to elicit opening a conversation. Okay. And here's the other thing I want to give you a tip on is even if you see their little picture, and you know they've, or whatever little something on your phone shows you that they probably read it. That doesn't mean they read it, you guys. It might be that they scrolled through it and saw, oh, I have a message, but they didn't read it. So sometimes, again, we can be all about us and we can get in there and start going, oh, she's ghosting me. She doesn't want what I have. She didn't answer me. If she wanted what I have, she would answer me right away. No, that's not true. People get busy. Sometimes they see it real quick, okay? Again, have you ever done that? If you've done it, then they've done it. All right, let's give people some grace. But the different ways. So let's say that I'm trying to communicate with somebody through Messenger. And of course, some people may not get on Messenger once a week, maybe once a month. Okay, so again, timing. But I have her phone number. I'm going to reach out and text her. So now I have two ways that I'm making conversation or attempting to connect. I might have her email. So it's also really important to gather as much information, email, phone number, and of course, Messenger, friends on Facebook, all the things. So you have many points of conversation, many points of connection that are possible because it's so funny. I have done a Messenger text message to somebody, and then a few hours later, I go, I have her phone number. I'm going to just message her there. And she starts to respond. Interesting, right? So it's not that she doesn't want to. She might not be on Messenger, or that's just not her favorite mode of conversation. So those are the different ways that I want you to think about is anytime I start a conversation with somebody, if I obviously if I have their phone number, I'm not going to ask them for their messenger because I'm already there, right? But I might say, are we friends on Facebook? And go friend her or have her friend me. So now I have 2 points of conversation. All right. So we already talked about the stats. Um, and then timing. Continue to grow your possibility list. Like we always say, make a list of 50 to 100 people because you want to start that conversation or start to see who might jump on the bandwagon with you and who you just need to delete off that list. And as you're doing that, remember, friends and family can get you started, but they will not build a business for you. It's the people that you're going to meet either through them or through other connections that you have, or as you're holding appointments and meeting new people. And sometimes friends and family can be super supportive, and it might even be a little false sense that you've got this business going. And sometimes they can be negative and not supportive, and you think, oh, I can't do this business. Both of those statements are really false because there's people everywhere. It's just your willingness to go meet new people, get new leads, have conversations, start conversations with people you don't know yet or that you're getting to know. So, as far as timing, I also encourage that you have a layering sheet because we also want to not only ask 5 times minimum, but sometimes if we get to ask for the same thing over and over, like let's say you're doing, a 15-minute messenger party, or you're doing a Mary Kay party in person, whatever it is, and you keep asking that same person the same thing and she's like, no, I can't, or whatever, like she's not responding, switch up the way you ask or switch up what you're inviting to. All right. Because there's so many different entry points into Mary Kay. There's so many different entry points into people being interested. So I always say just crack the door open enough so that they are invited in. So whether it's sharing opportunity first, or it's sharing a 5 and 5 first, or it's sharing samples first, or it's sharing a skincare trial first, or it's sharing a party first. Please don't get so hung up on one way to build your Mary Kay business because that's a very narrow path. And we're dealing with lots of different people and personalities. So one thing might not interest them, but something else might. Now, you're not going to go through the whole litany that day, like, would you like to do this or this or this or this? But what you are going to do is have a checklist of, oh, I invited her to a pop-up party. She didn't want to, whatever. Okay. 3 or 4 or 5 days later, you might invite her to something else, right? But also asking questions. What would interest you? What do you have any concerns with your skin? Like, we have to find the people that want what we have. All right. So the fortune is in the foul enough. I'm getting off a little bit on a tangent there, but I want to encourage you to know that the follow up on the front end of building leads, customers, generating activity, generating appointments on your date book, and then following up after appointments as well for the next step, right? I never say it's a one and done. So we always want our clients, customers, once they're in our, I'm going to call it a system, but I mean in our realm of possibilities, the things that we're doing, they've tried product, they've listened to the opportunity, whatever. What's the next thing we can invite them to? We want to keep them in the pink bubble. We want to keep them abreast of what is going on. And what that does is it builds community. It builds trust. It builds you getting to know her so you know how to better serve her. And I also think that the fortune is in the follow-up is not just about the money. The fortune in the follow-up is about community. It's about building confidence in you and having, it's about conversations. It's about, yes, cash, but mostly it's about having all those things also. So the fortune in the follow-up is more than just money. It can build your confidence, your community, your clients, your customers, and your future. All right, I hope this was helpful, and I'll be back again next week for a little bit more information. Have a great day.